Those of you who open carry, listen up because I've got a question for you. Do you have a death wish or something? Yeah, we need to have a talk about this one. We have more freedom than ever in 2024 when it comes to open carrying a firearm. As of October of this year, 29 states have passed constitutional carry laws, which gives us back the freedom to open or conceal carry a firearm without any kind of permit. It's unfortunate that constitutional carry laws even have to be a thing because the Second Amendment is already the law of the land, and it makes it pretty clear that any kind of firearm permitting system is a violation. But still, it's great to see that in over half of the country now, you can carry your firearm however you see fit without fear of being harassed by some scurvy little tyrant. So unless you live in one of those communist states like New York or California or Colorado, just to name a few, you have the freedom to open carry your firearm if you want to. But does that mean that you should open carry? There's of course two sides to this debate. Those who open carry and those who conceal carry. And I'll freely admit that I fall into the concealed carry side if that wasn't already obvious. But I'm still open to listening to the arguments for open carry just so that we can get both sides of the discussion. So let's take a look at some points made by the open carriers, and then I'm going to debunk each and every single one of them. Just saying. And keep in mind that we're talking about carrying guns out in public, not on your own property. That is going to be a completely separate discussion. One point that you're going to hear a lot is that you need to open carry because it's your constitutional right to do that, and you need to exercise that right regardless of what the anti-gunners may say or do. The idea that you should open carry because you're simply exercising your constitutional right is commendable, and I can respect it. However, you're open carrying just because you're able to, and just being able to do something or having the freedom to do it doesn't necessarily mean that you should do it. By placing your gun out in the open for potential adversaries to see, you're just tipping your hand to them for literally no reason other than the fact that you're free to open carry if you feel like it. Yeah, that doesn't seem like a very good reason to show off that you've got a gun. Open carry folks also like to talk about how just the sight of the gun on their hip is a deterrent, and it's going to make the bad guys think twice before they try anything. I probably would have agreed with this, say, 5 or 6 years ago, but in 2024, this way of thinking is just simply outdated. The reason for this is we no longer live in a society that respects the rule of law. Ever since the summer of 2020, when the whole defund the police trend started, lawlessness has been taking over and the criminals are becoming more emboldened than ever. They see this time as their golden opportunity to run amok, and now they've even got this expectation that they're untouchable. Let's take another look at that clip from the intro. So if this low-life scum wasn't deterred by the sight of a uniformed officer with his badge and with his gun, do you seriously think that they're gonna reconsider their criminal intent when they see you or me, average Joe citizen, open carrying a firearm? The answer is no. You see, the thing is, we're talking about, well, let's just call them for what they are. Animals who think that they can get away with literally anything. They see your gun as a challenge, not as a warning. To them, the opportunity to take your gun off of you is like leveling up or unlocking an achievement in a video game. For the last 4 or 5 years, criminals have gotten used to breaking the law at will without fear of any real consequences. Because even if they do get arrested, chances are they're just gonna get kicked loose a little bit later on, and next thing you know, they're back out on the streets causing even more mayhem. So the idea of open carrying a gun as a deterrent is a thing of the past, or at least it needs to be, because we now live in a lawless country where the bad guys feel like they can get away with anything, including taking your openly carried gun off of you or just shooting you first. Open carry advocates also like to talk about how open carrying is a way to get back to a time when people just didn't freak out at the sight of guns, and they'll also talk about how it helps to reinforce the fact that the United States was founded with gun ownership as one of its core tenets. Again, I can respect this idea, and I can't begin to tell you how much I wish that we did live in a country where everyone recognized the importance of a well-armed citizenry, but that just isn't the reality that we live in today, and we've got to acknowledge that. We live in a society that is full of anti-gun Karens who are totally ignorant of the constitutional carry laws that 29 different states have. So if you're open carrying, you can still get the cops called on you because they're going to have to respond to a call from one of these Karens about a domestic terrorist waving a big scary gun around out in public. So then the cops show up and they're going to detain you while they try to figure out what's going on. Now, of course, they're going to have to kick you loose once they see you're not doing anything wrong, but it's still just a bad scene no matter how you look at it. And if you think that your gun being out in the open could potentially spark a conversation with somebody and you'll be able to convert them to the ways of the 2A, think again. Your gun is only going to start one of two conversations. The first is with guys like me who just want to geek out with you over how awesome your gun is, and the second will be some rage monster Karen who gets up in your face screaming that you're a domestic terrorist while doing this to you. Good luck trying to get someone like that to see the light. When you choose to conceal your gun rather than to display it to the whole world for literally no good reason, you're making a much more sound tactical decision. Here's a few reasons why. Let's say you're out running errands and you have to go into a place that has one of these. If you're open carrying, you're pretty much guaranteed to face some kind of repercussions since everybody can literally see the gun on you. And if you take your gun off before you go into the shoot me first zone, what's the point of even having the gun to begin with? But if you're concealed carrying, oh wait, hang on a second. This has got awkward. Because I'm not gonna advocate that you break any laws, so for the record, don't conceal carry in a gun-free zone. It's bad, it's wrong, don't do it. But let's just imagine a totally, completely hypothetical situation in which you accidentally forgot that your gun was on you when you walk in there. Unless it's a place that has metal detectors. Beyond me how they're going to enforce the gun-free zone since they don't know that you have it on you, since you made the tactical decision to keep it hidden. Concealed carry also gives you the element of surprise because you blend in with all the defenseless sheep out there who aren't carrying. Let's say that you're in the checkout line at a convenience store and some hood comes barging in to rob the place. The chances of him ignoring you are greater if he doesn't know that you've got an ace up your sleeve. When you keep your weapon concealed, you're presenting yourself as just another ordinary person going about your day, unnoticed, unassuming, blending in with your surroundings. That's exactly where you want to be, because if you're unnoticed by the bad guy, you get to decide when and if you draw your weapon, rather than having that decision forced on you by the bad guy who spots you open carrying. If you still insist on open carrying despite all of its disadvantages, here's a few things that you need to do to try to mitigate the risks. Try to stay in a group of people that you know and trust who are open carrying also. There's safety in numbers, and the sight of multiple people who have guns on them could actually be an effective deterrent for the bad guys. This next one is important no matter if you're concealed carrying, if you're open carrying in a group, but it's especially critical if you're open carrying by yourself. Maintain hyper-situational awareness. With the gun exposed, you're taking on a much greater responsibility to keep it secure and away from sticky fingers. And that means that you always have to know who's around you and don't let them get within arm's reach of you. Now, of course, this still applies even if you're concealed carrying, but it's even more critical with the gun out in the open. It's also a good idea to keep your arm down at your side on top of the gun at all times, just for an added layer of security. If you're an open carrier, hopefully you're going to start keeping that gun hidden after seeing this video, but if you're still not convinced, feel free to fight me in the comment section below. And fellow concealed carriers, I also want to hear from you guys about why you don't go around advertising to the world that you've got a gun on you.